The Steam Deck has been out for a while now, and in that time we've seen many manufacturers start making Steam Deck docks. Even Valve themselves has their own Steam Deck dock. Valve sells their dock though for $80, and there are just so many competitors out there now, it's kind of hard for you to decide whether or not which Steam Deck dock is the best option for you. So in this video we're going to be mainly talking about 3 docks. 2 of Amazon's best-selling docks available on their website, in my personal favorite. Starting off with the Sabrent 6-port docking station. It's a great dock. This was my very first dock that I had with my Steam Deck. And it's pretty good, it's very value-oriented, it's very plasticky build quality. It doesn't have the largest variety of ports, but it does have a lot of them. Having 3 USB Type-A ports, USB 3.0 speeds, and has a USB-C port and a second USB-C port, primarily for power and DC inputs. It has a rubber grip on the inside to hold onto your devices, pretty wide compatibility, but might have a hard time fitting some of the thicker devices out there, like the 1X players and some of the older iNeo devices. And overall is a pretty good value. Starting at $30, it's pretty hard to beat something like this that is so flexible. This next dock is a dock that I have less experience with, but more like anecdotal time spent with it, because this is one of the most popular docks on Amazon. I know a lot of people with this dock. The JSAUX 5-in-1 docking station is a very cool dock. It has a nicer build quality using aluminum and higher quality plastics, having a decent variety of ports, but having fewer of them, having 1 USB-C port for power input, an HDMI, 2 USBs, and 1 Ethernet port, which is something you don't really see on these devices. But one major downside, in my opinion, it's only 100 megabits per second Ethernet. So it's not necessarily the fastest Ethernet out there, but it is very nice to have. Purely because, one of those USB ports were always going to end up taken up by an Ethernet adapter if you wanted the fastest internet speeds possible. The next dock we're going to be talking about is the Ivanky dock. It is a 6-in-1 docking station. It has a 1 gigabit Ethernet port, which is awesome. It has an HDMI 2.0 port, 3 USB Type-A 3.0 ports, and 1 USB-C DC input. It also has one of the highest build qualities out of all of these, being fully aluminum with a nice fabric braided USB-C cable. And something that kind of goes under the radar with most of these docks is that this cable is a lot longer to accommodate for the larger amount of device that this dock is compatible with. It's really convenient for me to be able to thread this cable a lot more maneuverably around my setup than using the super short cables on the Sabrent and the JSAUX docks. That's one of the main reasons why this dock is one of my favorites, just because the cable is much less stiff. It's a little bit longer to accommodate for other kinds of devices. Overall, a very higher quality build experience is just really nice. Important note though, this was sent to me by Ivanky. Ivanky had no editorial input into the conclusions of my video and was not given any content approval or even had an early preview of the video. So just as a disclaimer that yes, they did send me the product, but they had 0 notice of this video was being made and had no input whatsoever on the conclusions that I had during this video. I reached out to the other 2 companies for samples for this video. They did not reply. Ivanky was the only one. Now that we got that disclaimer out of the way, why do I like the Ivanky dock so much? Well, it's the higher build quality in comparison to the other docks, which I would hope it had a higher build quality for its asking price of exactly $49.99, barely scraping it into this video. But something I really like with this design is that it has a sort of larger gap underneath the dock, allowing for better airflow. Something I noticed in both the Sabrent and the JSAUX docks is that they cover a portion of the Steam Deck's cooling fans. But with this dock, they are fully unencumbered and fully allowed to breathe in fresh cooling air so you can have better temps overall. Granted, on the other 2 docks, it's not that big of a deal. It just covers a little bit of the bottom of the intake. So if you're not in an ideal cooling situation, it may have an impact. I just had a better peace of mind knowing that my Steam Deck could fully breathe in fresh air while playing versus on the other two docks where there was a minor blockage. It's just, a nice peace of mind. A big point in the other two docks though is that they're both around $30 and go on sale fairly regularly, ending up around $25. That is a huge value proposition that this dock simply doesn't have. And right now, this Ivanky dock can be had for about $33, and I have an affiliate link down below if you want to support the channel or if you're interested in the dock I like the most. This dock is slightly more expensive than the other two, so if you're looking for a purely value option, it's kind of hard to beat the Sabrent dock in my opinion, it being the one consistently on sale the most and just having the most variety of ports. Granted, you lose having the Ethernet port, which might be a major selling point to you. So if that's what you care about the most, you could always switch it to the JSAUX dock. Something that doesn't get mentioned often though, the Ivanky dock for some reason comes with 2 sets of stick grips, which are really cool. I like stick grips. I use them on my controllers all the time. I don't know why they included those. If that could have been sacrificed to lower the cost of the dock a little bit, that probably would have been a better idea than to include them in the first place. To me, it just didn't make a whole lot of sense why the stick grips were included. Usually you see these things included with either a whole controller or some sort of grips for the Steam Deck in general. Like for example, my JSAUX controller grips you see in this video came with stick grips, and they're really cool. I didn't like them because they didn't fit quite right. I think they were meant for either a different controller or the Steam Deck OLED, which has slightly different analog stick designs. But if they could have just simply removed them from the packaging and been able to lower it by like $5, I think that would have done a lot more to encourage more sales than including these stick grips in the first place. The other two docks didn't have any included accessories. You have to provide your own chargers, and all 3 of them support up to 100 watts of charging, but most of these devices only support up to 45 watt charging anyways, so I highly doubt that extra 55 watts is really going to do anything. You might be able to charge faster, but the charging speed on these docks or on these devices just with their normal charge hasn't ever been a problem for me, so if you need that sort of a feature, all these docks basically charge at the same rate from my testing, so you have nothing to worry about in that respect. After now evaluating all 3 docks, which one would I say is the best overall? I would say the JSAUX dock is probably the best out of the 3, purely because it covers the most ground and offers you the most variety of ports. For my editor's choice though, I say the Ivanky dock is one of my favorites purely because of the higher build quality, the nice to have features of having faster Ethernet, and a longer, nicer braided cable. For me, works a lot better for my setup and allows me to have more peace of mind and utilize my Steam Deck more and more efficiently. So now that we reached the end of the video, what are your thoughts? Are you interested in getting any of these docks? Which one's your favorite, or do you already own one of these? And if you're interested in getting the Ivanky dock, I do have an affiliate link down below, and promo code Jacob is available for until May 5th. So go ahead and use that if you want to support the channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe to all the other social media garbage down below. Just a second disclaimer, Ivanky had no editorial input into my conclusions and was not given any content approval rights nor even given an early preview of this video. And last but not least, have a wonderful day.